Thursday to happen tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be with you. Finally, it's been a long time. I'll just give a quick update. Good afternoon. There are 2 male cheetahs on the southern fence line of Kai and Lowveld. I'm not exactly sure where. There's also a herd of elephants around Nyala and a number of rhino stations throughout Kaya. And then there are, the Pride of Lions are around the corridor, stationary flat out. 2 stations are there. There are also 2 blowbunk stations, 2 leadwood stations are on blowbunk. I'm a bit rusty.
Copy that, thank you.
It's been about, well, with the exception of 1 drive in the middle, it has been a month since I was last on Game Drive with all of you, live. I had my private safari, and then I had 1 live drive. If you were there, then you'll remember. And then we went on leave, and this is my first drive back. So I have been sneaky and snuck out onto the reserve a handful of times since we've been back, because we've actually been back since Thursday. But Gareth has done the heavy lifting this week, and now it's me, because Gareth is off on safari from Tuesday. So you might see him tomorrow, you might not, depends. But on camera this afternoon, we have Andrew and Gareth back in FC. And now we are trundling along. We popped our nose into Mamba Dam. There were grey herons and Egyptian geese and a cheeky troop of vervet monkeys chattering at us as though we were a threat. Certainly not a threat when we're in a game drive vehicle. Sometimes we do clap our hands at them when they're in our kitchen, but then it feels like they deserve it. Anyway, let's have a look to see who's with us this afternoon. Hello, Mary and Carol and Brandy and Becky. Hello, Betty. And Elsa and Con and Jennifer. We have a whole lot of you with us this afternoon. If I've missed any of you, let me know. I'll do a little personal shout out just to say hi. You know, since I've been back on Rietspruit, it's been Thursday to Sunday is actually not very long. It feels longer than it is for no reason. But it's immersive because you live in the wild. We have not had a lion sighting since we've been back. So that's 4 days of no lions. Now I'm sure that they were in camp on Friday evening because we have Shloa, we are babysitting Brent's dog, and she is staying with us, and we had lions roaring and they sounded really close. And then about midnight, she started barking, and she was barking incessantly. And we had to look out the front of the house towards where we have our little camp set up by the watering hole, and there was no sign of any lions. But then Gareth and I went on our morning walk the next morning, and we went behind Hace. Hace is our house. And the tracks of the whole pride were actually heading towards the southern fence line. And then we weren't out that morning. We had other work that had to get done, so we didn't go out. And then Friday, that was Saturday morning, still no sign of lions. And now they've just been called in on the radio, and they're on the corridor. So they're in the northeastern corner of our traverse of this reserve. And Andrew and I are definitely slowly going to be making our way in that direction. We won't rush because it's still pretty warm and they're unlikely to go anywhere. But this morning, I think they were actually on Kaya. So if they're in the corridor now, it seems that they're moving out of Kaya and back into either blowbunk or leadwood, which would be, well, really nice for us. Nice to see some lions, even more delightful to see some lions on the move. And we are 10 minutes into game drive, and I've just remembered that I've forgotten my camera at home. So this is definitely going to be the afternoon that we're going to see something fantastic. Buckle up, don't leave your couches, stay tuned, because when a guide forgets their camera, madness ensues. Andrew's just saying in Shangaan behind the camera that today is the day we find the leopards. Because he knows I'm obsessive about the leopards. And the reality is, because I've forgotten my camera, we may very well find leopards.
Station, we have,
I'll be okay with that.
2 leopard stations on Burbank. The cheeses have been spotted on the southern fence line.
The only time...
We've been with us well on sightings on Kaya.
Let me see what Carol says.
On Inyala Ruta.
Oh, yeah.
And the pride, I believe, is...
I know, Carol, can you believe I was gone for a month? A month is a long time. You are going to get sick of me, though, because I am your only guide for the next 2 weeks. So we have a lot of catching up to do and lots of time to do it in. Dogs do know most things, Jennifer, particularly with when there's a threat around. Speaking of dogs, our 2 females, our wild dogs, have been spending time on Kaya as well. For some reason, Kaya is a magnet at the moment. But they are spending time on Kaya, and I'm hoping that we can get some good quality time with them in the next 2 weeks, because I haven't seen a wild dog since I would thumb suck, because I know I was on safari. I saw a pack of 8. None of them were collared. I do have profile pictures of them, which I need to submit to the researchers in the area so that they can perhaps collar a nice pack. A pack of 8 is actually a very substantial wild dog pack, and it would be something that we would like to put a collar on. That was in the thorny bush area. Look what we have here. Looks like a common buzzard. Is it? There you go. Beautiful. And just enough to say hi. Hi and bye. Stunning. That was a nice little sneak peek. Anyway, so like I said, the plan this afternoon is going to be to make our way towards the corridor. I have to catch up with Bucket and the babes. The last time I was spending time on the reserve, before the privates and everything, there were only ever 4 lionesses together, and we always knew, or most of the time we knew where the 5th lioness was, but it would be very interesting for me at least. I'm sure you've seen a lot of them with Andrew in the last couple of weeks. But it'd be interesting for me to see where they are, what they're doing, who's spending time together. I'd like that. I'd also like a white rhino. Putting my orders in. Some buntings, beautiful. We did do a lot of birding on our leave, so my birding, I'm ready to get back onto beating the boys at bird lists on this reserve. We do. Andrew's saying we need to redo the competition, and we really do, especially because there's a little bit of spice because Sorry, everybody, we lost you there. We're not sure why. We're going to have to figure out who keeps climbing into our cameras and undoing all the wires. I'm kidding. I'm not a tech person. I have no idea what goes wrong. The tech people do. But we have some beautiful zebra over here. And they keep walking through an area where there's a lot of ash from the fires. Look how gorgeous that one is. Framed so beautifully by the branches of the bush willow in front of it. And it got such gorgeous greenery from the flush that's happened after the fire and after all the rains. I wonder if this one's going to walk through that. Nope, it looks like it's going the other way. But when they stomp through the ash pile, then they get engulfed in this ashy soot, which is quite beautiful. Hi, Brian. Nice to see you. Brandy, you'd like to see a bush baby. A bush baby would be fun. Are you specific about which kind of bush baby? Look at how cool this stallion is. He's watching us actually quite intently. It's interesting how wary they are of us. It's not like we're ever very challenging to them. Off they go in a puff of smoke. Another one there. So here's a wild theory, everybody, and it's not actually, I've only ever read one scientific paper, but look at the, not in my life, about this particular thing, and it doesn't really have a conclusion. But if you look at the way the zebra stripes point towards the tail at the back, and the way the tail swishes side to side, there's a lot of theories that that's actually a conscious or an adaptation that's occurred to be able to confuse the animals, like, well, not animals, bugs, insects, from when they land on the rump. I guess it would make sense, but like I said, everything I read is inconclusive. But when you look at it as an observation, we're on the stallion on the left. Anyway, when you look at their swishing tail, it is quite interesting to watch how it intercepts the different stripes. There you go. But very beautiful. Looks like there's a mare behind that one. The one at the back is a female. I'm pretty sure that the one in front is a male, but I'd have to have a look. Becky, we have plains zebra here. They used to be known as the Burchell's zebra, but they're the plains zebra. And then the subspecies, if you're into subspecies classifications, it's always contentious in the scientific communities, is the Burchell zebra, and that zebra is distinguished by the shadow stripes. So you can see there's black stripes and white stripes. Hi. Sorry we lost you again and we left the zebra. I don't know where we got to in our zebra species chat before we got a little broken up. But there are, yeah, those zebras are the plains zebras, so beautiful ones to see, and we love a zebra, especially when the conditions are so green. The zebra actually adds such nice contrast to the landscape. Also, I mean, so does the giraffe with its splotchy patterns. I have a lot of beautiful animals that really, you know, summer is a very underrated time in the bush because it's not considered, in many places, it's not considered the perfect safari time because there's a lot of rain and that can mean that your safari is impacted. But it is so stunning when you get to see animals like any animal really on these flushes of green. I mean, you can see around me now how luminescent the bush looks because it's so gorgeous at the moment. And we've had an influx of returning species, so bird species. We've seen in the last couple of days, I mean, the broad-billed rollers have been around for a few months, but we saw 6 of them this afternoon, Gareth and I. And then we've had obviously the woodland kingfisher is back, announcing himself incessantly. And then we have the European roller who Gareth got on camera the other day. I actually haven't seen a European roller yet this season. I would love to see one. Last 2 years, last year my first European roller was on the 22nd of December, and before that it was actually on the 31st of December. So Gareth has seen one already, and that's quite early in the season for them. But even in there's nice lion tracks here. We're quite far from where the lions are. I wonder what the composition is near the corridor. Let me just see if I can. Oh, 2 were missing this morning, Andrew says. That's good to know. Helpful info. Now I need to find a track that's actually good enough to show you. I'm driving over them, have crossed onto this side. Okay, now actually the tracks look a little bit older here. I can see them, but the ground is hard. We keep getting rain, and then it dries, and then it sets this sand, and so there. Andrew, what if we use one like that one there in the sunlight? Can you get it there? The top of the dashboard on the right-hand side. I'll go to it. But is that? Am I far enough back?
No, but it's fine.
I can reverse. Nope, Andrew can stand. Okay, if you have a look here, this one is the one I'm looking at. This one. Oh, I can go further up. Okay. So here we have, this is definitely a lioness from the size. It's a little bit bigger than my fist. So over here, moving in this direction. It doesn't look too old actually. There's 3 perfect lobes, crispy at the back, and 4 individually marked out toes with of course no claw marks, because it's a lion who keeps her claws in its sheath until she needs them. And so that's actually that's quite a nice track. I think it's only 1 individual for now that I can see, but let's follow these tracks. And then as we make our way to the corridor, it's also possible that the lions will try and link up with one another, because on Rietspruit we have one pride, and that pride generally like to be together. See if I've missed any questions from any of you. Yeah. So you'd like to see Yeah, some people are saying they'd like to see baby zebra. I think that's Becky. It would be nice to see the baby zebra. I wouldn't mind that either. One second. Ooh, excuse me. It's a bit dusty. Sorry about that, everybody. And then the lesser or the thick-tailed galago, which is also the bush baby. Bush baby is not an impossible thing. It's just a tricky thing because we need to get it after dark and we need to get it on camera, and they're very bouncy. Well, they're bouncy when they're awake. When they're asleep, they sleep cold, out cold. I was chatting actually yesterday to a friend who rescued, also a guide, rescued a bush baby once, a baby bush baby, after a storm. And in the time that he was rehabilitating it, he said the only time it ever bit him was when he needed to get something or he disrupted it while it was sleeping. It's like it's actually a very placid animal, fine when it's awake, but if you disrupt it when it's asleep, then he was like, that's when it would bite him so badly. That was quite funny for me because you don't expect a bush baby to have such an attitude, although I've watched bush babies have some pretty brutal fights. I once watched a male thick-tailed bush baby. Thick-tailed bush baby is significantly larger than the lesser galago or the lesser bush baby. The thick-tailed bush baby, there was a male, and the female had an offspring. And the male actually tried to kill the offspring. And so we heard screaming and leaves were falling above us and there was a whole lot of commotion going on. And then something just dropped and went plop on the floor next to us, just checking for these tracks. And it was a really, really small baby, thick-tailed bush baby. And we didn't want to interfere or anything, but the mother came down the tree eventually and she collected her baby. Once she felt she had warded off the male and the male was no longer going to threaten the life of her offspring, she came down and she rescued it, which was actually a really nice, happy ending. And it's amazing because all of this took place in one of our staff camps. It's amazing how much you get to observe of the natural world when you live in it. Even in your living space, things are happening all the time. So that was actually a very interesting moment. A great sighting right from our porch. That's what we had that evening. Hello, Ariana. Nice of you to join us. Jennifer says that she can relate to biting somebody who wakes her while she's sleeping. That's funny. You know who I think would be the most likely to bite you if you woke them while they're sleeping in our camp is probably Basil. He's a really good sleeper. In fact, he probably wouldn't hear you. He's a supersonic sleeper. Or at the moment, maybe Chloe. She's got a little feisty attitude, so she could always give you a hard time if you woke her up or gave her a fright. Now I am continuing in the direction of the corridor, just in case we get lucky with those lions on the move. I'd really like to see the big cats on the move. It would be nice as well to see the cheetah brothers, but it sounds like they're on Kaya. And the only way that they can get off Kaya is to cross a very short portion, a very bottlenecked portion where the lions currently are. So for the sake of the safety of our cheetah brothers, I'm quite okay if we don't see them on this game drive. Would be nice to see Bye-Bye and her cub. Do you know when last they were seen? Andrew has no idea when last they were seen.
Any stations with the Pride at the corridor. We'll be responding ETA 5 minutes.
You had them once in 2 weeks. I can see, yeah! What did I say I would like to see when we started this drive? Lions and rhinos. Just up ahead of us over there, there's a beautiful, beautiful sighting. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit until we get closer, and then I'm going to slow right down. The lighting is exquisite. Yep, Andrew's being cheeky. He's saying it's a pity I don't have my camera. That's okay. I'm embracing the experience of being out this afternoon. Taking pictures with my eyes. Unfortunately, I can't edit those ones or post them or make them the photo of the week. Oh dear, don't do it. It's an impala. The reason this area is actually fenced on either side is because this is the airstrip. So it's just fenced so that if there's something on here, we can flush it off quite easily if a plane's about to land. It does really help for aircrafts, but it is quite weird to see a fence on either side of animals. I promise you it's open on either side, and actually these animals are quite, they love the airstrip because the grass is, especially this particular type of animal, grass is nice and green, it's kept short, it's perfect for our friends over here. Oh, there is a tortoise. Maybe we're going to get even more rain. Look at him. He's running away. That's fantastic. He really is speeding off. They don't move all that fast, but they definitely move faster than the storybooks let you believe. There he goes, skedaddling off. It's a leopard tortoise, everybody, and we have another member of the Big Five. Obviously, a leopard tortoise is not a member of the Big Five, but we have 3 beautiful white rhinos with us. It's Lula and Kalula and the big bull that they've been spending time with. Do you know who he is? I know he's the male with half an ear, but I don't... Nkonzo, maybe. There is a bit of vulture activity above us. There was one that landed, it's a white-backed vulture. There's one that landed on the left. Just see, don't worry about it, Andrew, but let's just see if this vulture that's above us starts to descend. It could be quite interesting to investigate. We were just saying that we haven't seen. Ooh. Okay. That white-backed vulture doesn't actually look like it's going to land, so swooping low. Yeah, so we are with Lula and Kalula, who are doing incredibly well. This is the time of the year. This is so funny, but this is when they would have been released from the boma had they been less eager to be wild. For those of you who don't know their story, Lula and Kalula were orphaned 6 and 7 years ago. Kalula is a year older than Lula, and both of them have very similar stories and beginnings of their lives. Their mothers were poached and they were moved to a safe, secure, captive environment where they grew up, and then they were moved onto Rietspruit into the wild. Now the plan was always to keep them in a boma and keep them safe and corralled so that they could at least be supplemented while they got used to the new smells and senses of their new environment, But they had very different ideas, and so they were released onto the reserve into a big boma where we expected to keep them for about 4 to 6 weeks, but I think it was probably 4 to 6 hours before they decided they wanted to be free. I want to break free. Yeah, they did. They buckled the gate and they have been free ever since, and they're thriving. Their condition is looking so good. You can see that everything about them has improved. The way they are around vehicles is so different to what they were. And for a while when they broke out, they were separated and we didn't see them together. And there was a bit of concern because as rhinos are companion, or white rhinos are definitely companion animals, and you'll see them in large crashes. And often there'll be 1 or 2 females and then offspring, and often a bull as well. 1 or 2 bulls will hang around, depending on the size of the crash. But Lula and Kalula have never had babies, neither of them, and they both are at the right age to start conceiving. So this bull, who has glued himself to their side for the past couple of weeks, he has intentions, no doubt. Stations, there are 3 white rhinos on the Boskamp airstrip. They're just stationary feeding. It's amazing. They've been hanging out here quite a lot. Mary makes a very good point. Actually, it's quite a funny joke, Mary. They did bring new neighbor gifts. They were the new girls on the block and they came bearing lucerne. We had to feed them, or we thought we had to supplement their feed because their whole life they'd never experienced a wild dry season. They'd always been supplemented. And next year they won't be supplemented because they would have had a year in the wild and they would have been... What's she responding to over there? Something's unsettled her a little bit. I wonder if it's just that the others have turned to feed in a different direction. She's, don't leave me. She felt lonely. Anyway, what happened with the feeding is we had to supplement their feeding because they've never had a dry season. And in the process, all the other rhinos thought that this supplemented feeding was fantastic. So anywhere there were reports of Lula and Kalula, there would be little bales of hay. And then you would go there and there would be a rhino, but not often would it be Lula and Kalula. They were almost rebelling for a long time against the lucerne. They were like, no, there's so much wild food, which there really wasn't. The food was not good quality because the rains hadn't fallen yet. But eventually they came and they fed and they are looking great. Something stuck between her toe here, Andrew. Her front left. That's so funny. Oh, there you go. Look at that. She's got a stick stuck between her toe there. That would make for a very interesting track. She's also coming incredibly close to the car. Perhaps she wants to greet us. Or maybe she wants me to remove her stick from her foot. I'm just kidding. She's a wild animal. I can't be touching her feet. So, it looks like she needs floss fit between her toes. To get that stick out.
Do you think, honest question, sorry, I know there's other questions, but If that stays in there too long, could it cause chafing in between the toenails?
Andrew's asking an interesting question. Do we think that if that stick stays in there too long, it could cause a problem? The answer is yes and no. The reality is I don't think it's likely that it'll stay in there very long. She's going to mud bathe. That's just what rhinos do, especially this time of the year. They'll wallow in the mud. She is right here, folks. I wish I could show you just how close she is to us. She is, I mean, the camera gives you some idea, but also no idea. she's basically sniffing Andrew's foot. My goodness me, that's Andrew's leg. They have settled in so beautifully. This is amazing. Yeah, so I think that the squelching through the mud, in the mud wallowing process, is going to dislodge that stick pretty quickly from her. She's right behind us.
Yeah.
My goodness me, this is amazing. I will never get tired of the way rhinos, or any animal, when you see it from afar and it decides to approach your vehicle on its own, it's just the most incredible thing. It's such a trust thing. Oops, we've been here the whole time. Now, the unfortunate thing is they are carrying some nasty horseflies. So the closer they get to us, the more Andrew and I are going to be harassed by the same critters. You see them all along her side.
It's those yellow things. Is that a horsefly?
Hello. You are very close. I love this. Amazing. Look at that lighting behind them as well. Isn't it beautiful? Me too, Jennifer. I love how nature finds a way. Nature always persists. Shall I turn around, Andrew? Make your life a little easier. What a lovely sight indeed, Di. Nice of you to join us. Oh, our tortoise is back on the... Maybe he thinks he's part of this crash. Today it's not the tortoise and the hare. Today is the tortoise and the rhino. That is an amazing shot that Andrew's got there. The exquisite sunset over the northern Drakensberg Mountains. And our beautiful big rhino bull as well, munching like a lawnmower, perfectly designed to get as much grass as possible. I'm just looking at the horn of this female closest to us and how much it's grown. It feels like it's grown a fair amount since we removed them. It is starting to get a bit of an edge. They are just absolutely thriving. So that stick that's wedged in between her toes there, if nothing happened and it didn't get removed, it is possible that it could cause chafing, or potentially, luckily she's not going to grow too much more, but if it happened in a small individual and it just never dislodged itself, then it could cause a problem. But I think I have very little concerns. This is amazing. These two are my favorites. Shame that's not fair. I have a lot of favorite rhinos. But these two really are my favorites, especially because we got to touch them. You know, in the moving process, you just have this it's overwhelming to think right now that these are wild rhinos, and I don't mean touch them in a, you know, in a dodgy or unethical way. Hello, Mum Ruth. But you know, we moved them here, and in that process, we, you know, one of them we really had to put. Lula was the one we did second, and she was the one we had to wrangle. Hi there. How are you? So you've had that intimate encounter with these girls, and we've watched them, and so much of their story we understand, and so it just creates that very, I guess it's a human thing, but that intimacy and understanding that life's been tough for them, but this is their happy ending, and they have each other, which is pretty special too. Carol says, I can't let No Hope hear that I'm calling these two my favorite. You're right, Carol. But you know, the thing about No Hope is that her story started long before my story at Painted Dog. She's always listening. So she's also got an incredible story. And I love an against the odds story, which is what No Hope has. Everybody thought she was infertile. That's why she's called No Hope. Did you see how she cropped that little tuft of grass there? With her lips, the other one she's standing on now. It's beautiful. Yeah, so No Hope was believed to be infertile. And in the time she's been on Rietspruit, she's had 5 offspring. So it is Jennifer. It's a stunning, a stunning bum shot with a beautiful mountain backdrop. She does this every now and again. She's like, wait, what? These two females like to be close together. When one of them wanders off too far, you can see the other one gets a little bit concerned. I love them. It just never gets old. Rhinoceros rex. One of the females is urinating on the left, and I think what's going to happen is, well, I predict this male is going to come and he's going to test her urine. It doesn't look like he's in any rush to do so, but he's going to be keeping an eye on their fertility status, whether or not they're ready to breed.
I think I'm leaving 4 sessions there now.
He doesn't seem too interested in her smells. I wonder, shall we leave them to their airstrip munching and try and get to the corridor? We've had a very heartwarming sighting with him. I think before we go, let's just see if this male's going to come up. He's heading towards us now, so he might come and increase our heart rate a little bit. Heading in this direction. Notice how he doesn't have any man-made ear notches in his ears. It's because that cut on his right ear He's distinctive enough that we didn't need any other identification features to be able to identify him as an individual. Please don't squeeze between me and the fence.
Can you imagine?
I wouldn't let him. If he looks like he's going to, I might say something to him. But I think that this is just too close. I mean, look, there's my hat. I'm here. He's there. And if he tries to get between me and the fence, I'm not even sure he's going to get through. You want to move?
Prepare to kiss around.
No, I think he's going to turn away. Excuse me. Yeah, he's huge, everyone. I feel like a dwarf. Oh my gosh, Andrew, stop breathing. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. Andrew's doing the limbo just to get a nice bum shot for us.
Very short flow bank.
That's fantastic. Wow. Oh,
What?
where is he?
He's behind us.
Is he pushing it?
No.
Okay. I thought maybe it was the way you moved. I thought he was gonna do a bum scratch on the back of the car. That is amazing. You know what's so cool is when you feel so comfortable with them. Some days there's a little trigger of discernment that's like, maybe you should increase your distance to these animals. But today they've all been so comfortable with us. They're just chilling. They're eating the grass. They're enjoying themselves. That's just the most incredible way to spend the afternoon. Betty, you've made a good observation. They are avoiding certain vegetation types on the grass in front of us. But what those are little forbs. And they would be something that the browsers would be more interested in. So they're little leafy plant. I was going to see if I could pluck one. Leafy plant material, which is not actually in the diet of a grazing animal. So white rhino is going to, especially when there's enough feed like this and it's a time of plenty, the white rhino is going to avoid where possible. So the little forbs are not that palatable for them. But nice observation. Now that was special. Carol? That's exactly what I was thinking. That was super special. And Mom Ruth, no need to worry. No need to worry. We didn't have a tickle of discernment. We were very comfortable. But definitely an amazing sighting. Cool, hey? Amazing. It will never get old. Yeah, exactly. It couldn't be better.
Cheers, guys.
Okay. They are so big. When you're that close to them, I'm only... Oh, Andrew, check this out.
It's not the butterfly.
No, not the butterfly. Should I go a bit further forward? Must I? Everybody, check out what we've got here. A whole bunch of dung beetles. That is teeming. I'm pretty sure that this male has just serviced his midden. It's all damp. Oh, that's not a dung beetle. It is pretty. and I do know what it is, but I can't for the life of me remember. Butterflies are gonna have to come back to me because you get all rusty on the butterflies. We've got a lot of dung beetles here, and what they're doing is these ones mostly are trying to form their balls. So we've got rollers here, 4 different types of dung beetles. The ones that actually quintessential dung beetles who roll the balls and lay their little grub inside, and then the ball acts as a incubator for their offspring, their egg. And then there's tunnelers who make tunnels. There's kleptos who steal other people's or other dung beetles' balls. And then there's one more. Goodness me, I need to get unrusty. I need some Q20. I don't know what the American equivalent is of Q20, but I need to get unrusty. So this is amazing as well. It's just a hive of activity here. And it's crazy for me how 6 weeks ago, if somebody wanted to see a dung beetle, it would be the most impossible thing for us to find. Look at those two over there having a fight over their ball. This gets very violent among the dung beetles because they really believe that they deserve and are entitled to the ball that they've rolled. And in some ways they are, but so often they have these tussles that invariably they end in one of them being flicked a couple of centimeters or even further away from the ball, and then the victor emerges victorious, and a female will come and she'll park herself on top of the ball and she'll be rolled away as part of the prize. The fly load here is actually not that pleasant. I'm going to try and get to the corridor. What do you think, Andrew? Yeah, let's try. Let's try and see if we can get these ladies. Gosh, I will be less rusty on my dung beetles the next time I see you, which might be tomorrow and it might be Wednesday. But take my word for it. Be waiting for a dung beetle lecture. It's coming. I'll even have pictures for people like Betty who like pictures. I'll bring our special book. Stations. I'm going to be leaving the 3 white rhinos on the Boskamp airstrip to one other station. Super cool. Pardon? Oh, yes. Yes. Andrew is being the FC and the cameraman on the back of the vehicle. But this week, we have a keyword for you, and today is the last day if you're one of our pack members. Now, this is exclusively for pack members, but any one of you can become a pack member. You just have to sign up. If you want the picture of the hippo in the dam, you need to email us the word key level, which should be on screen next to me now. And then we'll send you a high resolution image or copy of this image. It is a beautiful one. Eye level. No, water level, not eye level. Eye level we had a few weeks ago with the lions. Water level. Good shot there, Andrew. It's really pretty cool how resident those 3 rhinos are becoming in this area. Oh my goodness. I can smell a very smelly terminalia. Like cheesy feet. It's a terrible smell. A terminalia. Some plants have really beautiful scents that attract really just like pollinators in such a nice way, and others smell like the silver cluster leaf or the terminalia that is just pungent. If you didn't know what it was, you would think that somebody had emptied their cheesy cooler box out somewhere here and just let the cheese ferment for far too long. But that is not the case. It's a plant. I can hear a little accipiter calling on my right, but I can't see it perched or flying. Did you hear that? We're listening for bird calls. Yeah, that's a cuckoo. Jacobin cuckoo. Pew, pew, pew. All the cuckoos are back. You know what I actually haven't seen? No, I think I have. I think I've seen the red-chested cuckoo. Look at this tree on the left. This is one of every guide's least favorite trees out here. This is a sickle bush. You can see those sickle-like thorns or barbs that are coming out of this stem. Those are unrelenting, and if you're off-roading, they can really puncture your tires. But this time of the year, when they're blooming, they actually look like they've got little lanterns on them, and they're quite cute for the Christmas theme, aren't they? It looks like they come with a peace offering for all the flat tires they've given us during the year. The sickle bush. Beautiful. Even though it's crazy how often we get impaled by sickle bush, as when we're walking or when we're driving. I once stood on a sickle bush and it went about this deep into my ankle. I'll never forget that. I was doing a sleep out. So when you do a sleep out, you basically like a primitive trail. You pack everything you need, you walk, you find a space to camp out, and then you spend the night in the wild and you alternate who's on guard so that you're not, actually I think we did all sleep that night, which is really unwise. You should have someone on watch. No, I think we did have someone on watch. But I was collecting firewood, because you have to collect firewood if you're going to do a sleep out. You take very little, and everything you take back with you. Everything else you collect and you use from the environment. And I was doing a sleep out once, and I was wearing cheap flip-flops. I don't know what, the world has different names for them. They're called thongs in Australia and slip-slops in some part of the world. And what are their other names? Pardon? Oh yeah. In South Africa we call them plakkies, which literally just means that they're flat shoes. Flops, but you know what I mean, those shoes with the very insignificant soles that are on your foot from your toe to the side of your feet. I was wearing those, which was my first mistake. Obviously I'd hiked in hiking boots, but then your feet get sore, and I was wearing those and walking around looking for firewood, and I stood on this thing and it just went straight into the heel of my foot. And it bled quite dramatically, which I honestly was quite grateful for, because I was in a lot of pain, and it was good that there was a tiny bit of a scene just to justify how sore it was. It's always the worst when you think you've given yourself a major injury and there's absolutely no nothing to show for it. Yeah. Carol, you are a little legend. Thank you for being the elf on my shoulder. She's not really whispering anything to me, but you're right, it was a common diadem. So butterflies and dung beetles are things you need to get ready to learn a lot about, because this next week or so, I'm gonna smash it out. We're gonna get unrusty. We have to do that, you know. You think, I mean, it's all in your head when you're guiding. You've got it all stored away in files, but brain files. But when you haven't used it for a whole season, it takes a little while. And then by the end of summer, you're in such a swing, you're in the swing of it, and then they start like vanishing, and then it's sad. But yes, it is a common diadem, the butterfly that we saw. Many diadem species. I'm still reeling from that rhino encounter. He was so close to us, and then when he's standing in front, you know, he clears the bonnet of the car by almost a meter. You have no concept if you're not sitting here gawking at him, you have no concept of the size of these creatures, but they are huge. A 2-ton animal makes you feel very small. So if you're feeling like you've maybe overindulged over the Thanksgiving period and you want to put your size in perspective, you should definitely come on safari and compare yourself to a rhino and an elephant. Then you'll feel great, because they're very chunky creatures. Let me check. Yes, thongs, slaps. Wow, flip-flops, didn't know that. Oh, you have a great butterfly book, Carol. We're gonna have to use more of it. The temperature is cooling off so nicely, which is great because we've been in the middle of this intense heat wave. All of southeastern Africa has been hit, particularly the countries just north of South Africa, hit really, really hard, but we are in the northeastern corner, and so this heat wave that's come through has hit us as well, and we've had temperatures for the last 10 days in excess of around 40 degrees Celsius roughly, and a little bit higher on some days, up to 43 degrees. So that's sitting just under 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And now, I don't know if the heat wave is over or if we're just getting a little bit of a respite, but it's so nice and cool at the moment. It's not too cold, but it's beautiful. And I think that all these animals have probably been so lethargic. In fact, I know they have been. Andrew said he's had a lot of cool animals, but most of them have been slooping because it's just been too hot. So hopefully we are going to, with our slightly cooler evening, maybe we'll get the lions and perhaps they'll even do something like get up and stretch and walk and move, but not before we get there because it might be hard to find them. I have far too many wishes that I project upon wild animals who do not conform to any of my wishes. Hear a robin calling. I can't wait for marula fruits to start falling. That is one of my favorite things out here. One of my bush delights is the marula fruit. I'm just seeing all these marula trees dotted around, and I'm anticipating a marula fruit yield this month. Not this month, maybe next month. But I have no doubt that the the ellies are going to get to the marula fruits before we do. And actually every animal, the baboons love them. The nyalas will even gather at the base of the tree, particularly actually the warthogs too. What ends up happening around the base of a marula tree is that there's this circumference of dead grass because it's such a hive of activity and so many animals come to collect the fruits from the ground, and elephants obviously will shake the tree and they'll fall, or they'll pull branches down and eat the fruits from the branches. But it is a really fun time of the year, marula fruit season. It's like eating a lychee fruit. It's that kind of texture, but with a citrus taste. So it's just wonderful. Station with Pride. I'm about 5 out. Can I keep approaching? Take that as a yes. Yeah, you'll start seeing sour plums as well. Andrew likes a sour plum. But it's quite amazing how different species will find a slightly different window. So the torchwoods and the marulas do not fruit at the same time of the year because the same species eat them and then will transport their seeds. So it's actually very clever. The marula will fruit during summer, and then actually the torchwoods fruit into winter. And that just helps with the seed dispersal. I would not want to, I have no desire to eat a torchwood fruit. They are very much impalatable for humans. They're good for burning fires. They create a little bit of fuel. That's why they call it torchwood. But they're not great to eat, and they create really pungent elephant dung. So do the marula fruits, though. The one downside to marula season is elephant defecation. It's just so smelly this time of the year, or moving into marula season. So January and February is kind of where it peaks. See if I have any questions from any of you. I feel like I'm ignoring you. Hello, AfriSky. Oh, I can feel the corrugations. I hope that's not a tire. No, the road's very corrugated. We're approaching the corridor now, so we should be pretty close to where those lions are. I wonder if they're more on the Kaya side of the corridor or our side. I think we're just going to have to investigate when we get there. There might be another car with them, but I actually haven't heard much activity in that sighting. What do you think? Talking about the wheel.
Oh, no, that's the location.
Okay.
It's not that side.
No, so this one I'm worried about. Okay, Andrew said he can see the tire and it's looking good. Phew. I'm not in the mood. Some days I'm feeling like I can conquer a few flat tires, but not every day. My biggest record was, in fact, I had it twice. I've had it twice already. I've had 3 flat tires in one guest stay, so 3-night stay, and then I've had 3 flat tires in a day, also the same guest. That's just embarrassing. It wasn't even around the same time, so let's check. I'm not seeing lions yet. Oh, here they are. I'm seeing lions, everybody. Oh, it's the boys. This is exciting. It's been a little while since I've seen any lions, let alone these two boys. It's been 2 weeks and 3 days. It looks like we have far more than just the two boys, though. Andrew, I'm going to line up for you. Yeah, so it does look like we have the two brothers. Kinky tail on the left, the kinky tail male on the left, and then Elvis on the right. He has got a fresh gash. Maybe it's not that fresh. It's starting to heal. It's still oozing though. Look at his around his whisker line. There's a bit of ooze. Beautiful shot of his eye. Pretty boys.
Anybody with a cheetah?
Oh no, he's gone to sleep. You can see it's a beautiful time of the day
Anybody with a cheetah?
to be with lions because they're contemplating moving a little bit more. Oh, he is exquisite. His mane is so beautiful and dark. They've matured into some spectacular male lions, these two. And they're big as well. Looks like they're going to go back to sleep. Now the question that's burning for me is, oh, you got to be so cute. Ladies and gentlemen, that cannot be the killer of the African bush. Looks like he's all cuddly. Lions are the epitome of looks are deceiving because they look so cute and so cuddly and so enjoyable, but they also are lethal, of course, especially wild lions. But the burning question that all of us want to know so desperately, 3 months before we can know, is whether or not Nielette is pregnant, because she was off on a romantic getaway with, who was she with? She was with Kinky Tail. Yeah, she was. And they were around they were on their own for about 10 days, which is a significant period of time. Please roar for us. Africa Sky, I think that they're actually a little, they're between 7 and 8 years old. They really are in their prime. 8 is what we consider the prime of a male lion, and that can extend until they're about 10, but they have quite a rapid decline and drop off after 10, maybe even 11. Some male lions will push to 12. The dominance of male lions really is often about 3 years, just enough time to get a cohort of cubs to a successful age, an age where the males can leave the pride and form their own coalition, and their offspring, the females can be part of the pride, but then they should usually lose their dominance because it would be wrong for nature to allow them to breed with their daughters because of the genetic, compromising the genetic integrity there. Of course, there are always exceptions. The longest coalition that I've heard of being dominant has been in an open system has been 6 years, but these males, because it's a closed system, they've actually been here since they were just under 3. So would still in the wild not yet be considered adult males. They'd be considered sub-adult males and nomadic males, but because they had the monopoly on these females, they bred much earlier than they would have, and they actually had their first litter of cubs, which was Bucket and BB. I think they were only about 3.5 at the time, so they were quite big, but they hadn't filled out. They didn't have these manes. They weren't these impressive, dominant figures that they are now. They were just young males. Yeah, Carol, you might be right. It might have been Elvis that was with Nialeti. I don't know. It was Elvis. You are right. My apologies. I think both of them would have took their turn if they had been given half the chance. I'm going to have to go back and look at footage. We only have, so I don't know if we've seen them just yet, but there's 3 lionesses lying on our left. The view's not great of them. They flat in the grass. But there's only 3 of them here at the moment, which Andrew is quite right, and I'm sure we had the tracks of those females a bit earlier before we got distracted by the rhinos on the airstrip. But I wonder where those 2 are. No doubt they'll link up with the pride and then perhaps move off again. It's very natural. We see it a lot that although prides are consistent often, they're quite consistent with their composition, females will move off for a few days. They might have got separated in a hunt. They might just be exploring a different part of their territory. They might be responding to other males' roars on the other side of the fence. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why the females might not all be together, but I have no doubt that they'll join up in the not too distant future, perhaps even tonight. And then it would be lovely if they would come and drink from Camp Cam, because how dare they come and scare our floor and not say hello. Becky, not all of the females are sterilized. So 4 of the 5 are sterilized. That is because we have a closed system. So it's irresponsible to let them breed. Also, these males are the fathers of 4 of the 5 females. So they've been sterilized so that they don't breed with their fathers, and so that we don't have a surplus of lions. It's quite cruel to go beyond your carrying capacity for a landscape, because you mess up the balance. And that's one of the key aspects of a fenced reserve, is that as much as you want to remain hands off so that wild animals can be wild animals, you do need to manage populations, and the kindest way to do that is to sterilize some of the females. So Nialeti, the oldest female, she's mother of, I think, 3 of the 4 younger generation of this pride. She's not sterilized. We do contracept her because it wouldn't have been right a couple of years ago for her to have had a consecutive litter, because there were a few more lions in this pride, and it would have just got too big. And the problem is, when a pride of lions gets too big, they might try and split. They'll either eliminate so many of our plains game species that the balance would be totally off, or they would split. And if they split, there's not actually enough area or space for them to be able to support 2 prides. And that's when you get issues of animals, lions trying to escape from fences, and so it just gets complex and messy and inhumane. So yeah, 4 of them are sterilized. Nialeti was in season. The mating process, the conception process for a lion, is actually quite a long, drawn out one. they need to mate for at least 4 or 5 days for it to be successful. That is because the male has to stimulate ovulation. So her body is ready to ovulate, but it will not release an egg until she has mated with a male for at least a day and a half, even up to 2 days. Only after she's mated with him for a couple of days will her body release the egg, and then he's put in so much hard work, he wants to fertilize it. So then he'll spend a few more days with her, making sure that he successfully fertilizes the eggs that she's released. And that's quite the process, and that's also why lions, there can be multiple paternities within one litter, because it's quite a process to be able to to conceive if you're a lioness. By the end of it, she really has to entice the males. They get a little bit tired. In the beginning, they'll copulate. I mean, sometimes it's as often as every 5 to 10 minutes, but it slows down. They're starting to raise their head. All of them are looking east. Is this our girl? Too quick to know. Thought maybe that was Bucket. Something I didn't bring on drive. I don't know if Andrew did. If he did, I'm stealing. It was mosquito cream. It's like the mozzies, the mosquitoes are out in full force. Even though the temperature's a bit cooler. He is kind of giving us the stinky eye. Let's give them 15 or so minutes. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy them, because it would be nice to be serenaded by them. Very nice to have a lion roar. The temperature's dropping, but we're also losing light really quickly, so the chances of them roaring are high. Come on, that was very half-hearted. There you go. Oh, come on, guys, that wasn't real. It was just a warm-up. It's still beautiful to hear that soft, low grumble of a male lion warming up to roar. And it would be considered a roar, but it was definitely a half-hearted attempt. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Andrew and I have become a mosquito buffet, sitting here watching these lions. But I still think we're going to stick it out for a little bit, see if we get a proper roar. I've never watched any lions mock roar as much as I've seen these lions do it. They'll often do that. It's like a rehearsal roar, like a soft, low, It's not like a full-blown bellow from deep within the belly. Usually when they make softer calls like that, it's to link up with their other members of their pride or their coalition. But I actually don't think that's why he did it. I think he probably heard a male in the distance and thought, am I going to compete? Am I going to raise my voice because you've raised yours? Maybe I'll think about it. And then he started, and actually none of the other lions looked like they were going to join him. And of course, the more vocalizations there are from an area, the more it strengthens the presence of lions in this area, and advertises that there are lots of lions. So maybe he realized he had no backup, and he was like, I'm not going to waste my energy until the rest of you are ready to roar. That's my speculation. It's time for a light, Andrew. What do you say? There you go. Now we can see a lioness. They're grooming. Maybe she'll get up and go say hello to the boys. Too much effort. Back to sleep. You're right, Becky. I also think so, Carol. I do think it looks like Bucket that we've got in our screen now. Just want to see her. Yeah, that's the feeling I'm getting as well. I was looking at her whisker line and I thought I did see her distinctive splotches. The ear notches do link with Bucket, so I think that this is Bucket. If it is, she's actually, her face is starting to look more mature. Also depends on how much she's eaten and how full she is. And nice to see you. I was hoping she'd be one of the ones with the pride. I also hope Niletti's here. But it's tricky to see with everybody lying flat. Carol, I hear what you're saying. Carol's saying that her head looks like a different shape to Bucket's. No, I mean, it's definitely Bucket. All of her features match. But she's sounds ridiculous, but she almost looks more mature, like there's more of a slenderness to her face. And I don't know when last they ate or what the story is. I used to even find that with leopards, you'd watch from different angles and you'd see different, different angles and different perspectives on their face, and they would look like slightly different animals. But with her 3 whisker spots and her ear notches, it's definitely Bucket. But I agree with you, she does look more almost regal. A slender face. She's lost some of that chubby jowlness that always made her look like she had a round face. But she'll eat well for 3 or 4 days and then she'll have this fat face again. Okay, there is a second female who's put her head up and is yawning now too. So we're going to continue to give them a little bit of time. Andrew, I feel like a sacrifice, a mosquito sacrifice. You see Andrew swatting the mosquitoes away. Definitely Bucket. She's a voluptuous girl. Oh, sorry, it was Mary. You're right, Mary. Not Carol. Mary mentioned the size of the head. Here she comes. Oops, someone in the car behind us dropped something and she responded. We might get all of them walking past the car now that she's gone in a direction. Be nice to see the males as well get up and come past us. You can see them grooming and getting ready. Of course, with Bucket having got up and walked, it's very likely that that's what the rest of them are going to do. But maybe they're going to take their time. Let's have a look at these males. Okay? No, I was saying, I wanted to have a look at what they were doing. But they're not looking like they're about to jump up. He's looking a little bit more like, I think he's going to flop over. We're taking bets on whether he gets up or flops. Mary and Carol, are you theorizing as to why I confused you? You do have long, your names are the same length and they're both in blue, so maybe it's that. Maybe I'm just a lazy reader. What you do?
She's just behind public stuff.
Okay.
Just didn't want her foot to come.
Oh, Andrew's worried that Bucket's going to come and take his toes. But she's moved on. My goodness me. I'm learning a very harsh lesson about being unprepared. He looks so serious with that scar. And it will heal. It won't bother him too much. Might cause him a little bit of pain. But the healing abilities of these big cats is way more than ours. I mean, look at the scar on his nose. 3 weeks ago, that was a horrific lesion on his nose and by his nostril. And now it's completely healed. Just having a look here, because this male shot up very quickly, as though he's listening to something in the east that we can't hear. Whoa, that was amazing. The lionesses roared with the males, and they were all around us. We had 3D sound effects there. He did have a little limp. Possible that he was sleeping funny on it and has pins and needles, but also possible that he has a minor injury. Wow, that was a beautiful send-off. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah.
Epic.
Wow.
Fantastic. You can't ask for much more than that.
Can't really use my slang, but it was sick.
I wonder if we should go and look for these bush babies that we've been promising. They have settled again. And one lioness is not interested in moving. Just wanted to use the torch quickly to check out what's going on there. She is a flat cat. Oh, that was incredible. That was such a good roar. Exactly, Di. Wow. Yeah, Mary, the girls were definitely contributing to that. One of them started roaring as soon as the male threatened to roar, and then they all got involved. So I think of the 5 lions here, at least 4 of them were participating. That's just super cool. Well, he's up. Let's see what he does. He could eat. They're in great condition. Okay. Sniffing where the females have urinated. Lemon grimace, testing the urine of the female. Figuring out some things about her. Whether she's receptive. What's going on with her hormonal composition. This is amazing. They've roared. And they've gone back down. Still pretty amazing. Female behind him is coming. kind of starting to stir as well. Not really. She's just readjusting her sleep position. Where are the rest of them on the road behind us? Okay.
Nothing.
Di, what does the lion feel like to the touch? Is it smooth or silky or rough? You know what? They're a lot more rough than you would expect. They're not. It's not like a beautiful silky cat, a domestic cat. They are. They're really, really dirty creatures, even though they do groom themselves. But it's kind of like the best way to describe it that I can think of is, you know, when a dog's or like a shelter dog that isn't bathed frequently or doesn't live in a house, when you touch their fur, you can feel the dust and a bit of the greasy oils. It's kind of a similar comparison as I can give you to what a big cat feels like. They are not soft at all. They look softer than they feel. And that's just because life out here is actually not glamorous. They don't have shampoos or hair dryers or hair masks, but they can make sure the ends are well maintained with. That's exactly it. You might love to put your fingers in it, but you definitely should be afraid of what might be living in there. Even just thorns. A lot gets entangled in those manes. Starting to stir back there, but not too much. I think everybody's sleepy again. Let's turn around and see if anything's happening with those of them behind us, and if not, then I think we will trundle on. Oh, they're lying on the road up ahead. Lots of oopsie. Gotta get back into driving the jackal. There's nothing much happening there. I'm trying not to blind you.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Look like the rest of them all on the road up here. And you, enjoy. Okay. Yep, they have done what lions do. They've moved about 200 feet and they have flopped. Juggle. They could do this for a while, stop starting, stop starting. Let's go look at the girls over there. We've had some good boy love. Let's get some girl love. Oh my God. Nice. Oh, she's so regal. Very pretty girl now. They do, especially the lionesses, they look pretty well fed. The males actually look like they could eat, but they'll hang around with the girls, and I'm sure that they'll get lucky. These lionesses are incredible hunters. They do amazing jobs at keeping themselves very well fed. And they're so good at animals, hunting animals like, it's definitely bucket. Hunting animals like even giraffes on this reserve, which, you know, is a specialization that they've modified. They've got to become so good at reading the nuances of their prey species. I'm still waiting to be there when they hunt a giraffe. How cool would that be, Andrew? Andrew would like to be on camera for that one. If we're both going to be in the side.
I'd like to be there with my camera.
He'd like to be there with his camera. Epic. All right, let's give it a bash. 10 minutes left of drive, I think. Let's give the bush baby part of this drive a bash. They're not doing much. They've settled again. So I think we leave them for now. What do you think, Andrew? You agree? Going to see if we can find a bush baby. No guarantees. Andrew knows how the bush works. When you promise somebody something, you won't find it. Stations, I'm leaving the lines in the corridor to one other. You know what we could see, and there have been quite a lot of this time of the year, is snakes. Good time of the day for puffies, little puff adders. That would make Andrew very happy. Andrew is our snake man. Come on, bush babies. We've got to look in the branches for bush babies. Oh! Precision Rians didn't want to drive over them entirely. It's actually quite funny, those guys. You see them quite a lot around Pace. Pardon? Hissing ants. I can smell them again. Terminalias. One day virtual safaris will be so good that you'll be able to smell what we're smelling, and then you will be surprised by all the things that smell terrible out here. There are some things that smell amazing, but there are a lot of smells out here that are properly pungent. How cool will that be when technology gets to a point where you can smell? I'm sure there must be. There are cinemas and stuff that incorporate that kind of thing. It's just not quite in the live drive sphere. It's getting quite chilly, actually. But I have to embrace the cold because I know that it doesn't last in summer in the Lowveld, and it's certainly not cold. not by the standards that some of you might qualify, cold and hot. Come on, bush babies. We need a bush baby to move in around haste because we have so many solifuges, which are those pretty horror movie-esque type creatures. They kind of look like scorpions, but with no pincers and no stinger. But they're big and they run fast, and they're also quite haphazard in their movements, so you can't predict where they're going to run to next. And a bush baby likes to snack on a solifuge, so I wouldn't mind if we inherited some camp bush babies. They could move in. We have beautiful trees around camp. What was that?
That was Gareth flicking the zero lights outside.
It's so wonderful to see Rietspruit so green. I have never experienced it like this. Feels like I'm in a whole new landscape, which means there's lots of fun that is in store for us over the next 10 days or so, as we find everything there is to find out here. Hopefully, including an elusive spotted cat. I would love to find one. Passing that pile of dung beetles is going to be, if we go back that way, we might not. If we go back that way is definitely not going to be fun, because if they're flying around and they like this light, they're going to be very attracted to it. And then Andrew and I might get pelted by feces-infested beetles. Feces-infested, it's just dung. Just digested plant material. Thought I saw one, almost. It wasn't one. It was a spider nest. Come on. We've got 2 minutes to find a bush baby. We're looking for 2 really big eyes that are bouncing around. They're very active at this time of the evening. Oh, I really, really want to see them. It's a good area. I've seen bush babies here before. They must be all over the reserve. We do see them across the reserve. There's a good population of bush babies. Check myself. Yeah. Oh, little coron. So a red-crested coron on the road, but I'm not going to shine on him because his eyes definitely can't handle the light. Don't often see them on the road at night. You don't expect to see them on the road at night. I feel like I can smell smoke. Can you smell smoke? No. Wet wood is what Andrew can smell. maybe. Yeah. Everybody, can't believe it's already that time of the evening where we get to, well, we have to, not get to. It's a sad time of the evening where we have to say goodbye. But it's been a super fun, super successful drive. I'm very happy. I think my highlight were our awesome rhinos, but the lions and them roaring all around us was a very close second. It was a spectacular thing. I'm so glad all of you could join us, and we hope to see you tomorrow evening, same time, same place. Goodbye.